I used to go to a barber shop in Arlington for 8 years, and then I moved up here, and the best place they have that you could trust with your hair is a salon.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
So paying $15 more per haircut and getting like blow dried and shit. It's weird, but it takes so long too.
Do you pay female haircut prices?
No, not quite female haircut prices, but more than male barbershop prices.
Like I pay $20, so.
Speaking of female haircut
I
prices, I actually got my beard cut, and it was the most expensive thing in the world ever. So, because like, as you've probably seen the last couple of times we've recorded, anytime we've had the webcams on, it really was getting a little bit out of control.
You had a bird nest in there.
Yeah, I did for about a week or two. Yeah, I had to dig it out. But
Grizzly McAdams.
Grizzly O. Adams, I would have thought would have been the obvious one.
Oh, Adams works too, yeah. Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 14 of Rather Be Playing, the podcast where we talk about how we'd rather be playing games than
trying to overclock your graphics card.
I've done it. It's not that bad. I'm Josh.
I'm Elliot.
And I'm Steve-O.
It's a very tedious process. You kind of got to crash your computer over and over and over and over
Oh
again.
my god, that would kill me.
You tweak it a little more until it stops crashing.
Blue screens. You're basically just asking for blue screens to happen.
Thankfully, no blue screens. Is that like a processor thing?
It usually just shuts off.
It just shuts off. Well, like it freezes to the point where you can't move anything, and then I have to manually kill it. But I just I was playing Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I was like, this looks so good. And then I've had it set up forever. I've had this game for a long time, and I had the settings on it forever. I've been happy with it, but then I'm just like, I wonder if it could look a little better. And then I start tweaking, and I'm like, man, it dips to like 55 frames per second. And I'm like,
oh no,
maybe if I overclock it, and then I just like, you get into the extreme fine tuning, and it's like, I see how people go insane with similar obsessions. I feel like this is a warning call that I've got an addictive personality, and I should probably not be drinking this beer.
This is so funny. I feel like we've switched places. You were always the console player, and I only had a PC. Yeah. And I basically played everything on my PC, tried to get every last ounce out of the processor and graphics that I could. Upgraded many times, and now you're the one tweaking this stuff, and I'm just PS4 all the way.
Having a PC is a game in and of itself beyond playing games. Like, I was done. I didn't even need Tomb Raider anymore. After I got the overclocking set right, I was like, I won. That was the final boss. Turned off the game, and
until the blue screen happens, Elliot, and then you just want to kill yourself. That is
funny.
Until
you should mention that.
Until episode 15, where Elliot would rather be playing than installing a water cooler in his CPU.
Indeed. No, but like you said, I had it set up perfectly. I was like, here we go. I played some Destiny 2 earlier, and it froze like 10 minutes into it. So I was like, okay, so the overclock isn't exact. It's different depending on what program you're running. And so I dialed it back a little more conservatively, and it's good. Like, I got it so everything is maxed out completely in 1440p, except for draw distance is just one notch down. And it's pretty good. It looks so good, guys.
I enjoyed playing it on my PS4, where I just turned it on and played it.
Yeah, but it was 30 frames per second. How did you not throw up?
I agree. A lot of games are definitely worth playing on the PC for the sake of frame rate.
Yeah.
But the worst time of my life, well, okay, complete exaggeration, but I'm going to roll with it. The worst time of my life was when we had all bought Battlefield 3. And I think I had recently upgraded something or other, RAM or whatever. It was probably RAM, because I think that gives you blue screens. And I would start playing that with you and Mike or whoever, and it would go blue, and I would just get sad.
I remember that. You had the inexplicable blue screen.
Yeah, and do you remember I changed my entire PC? I rebuilt the entire PC. Completely different components. Nothing was the same. The RAM was different. The CPU was different. The graphics card was different. And I still got blue screens. I sold 2 full PCs to Elliot. 2 full PCs. And he never got a green screen or a blue screen, sorry, on either of them. And only after I had given up on both of them did I build another one, and it worked fine. And
I swear I thought we had figured that it was the RAM for all that.
I thought we did too, but
because I remember the very first thing I said to you was, "Is it the RAM?"
It's got to be the RAM.
But I ran memtest about 1,000,000 times. You leave it running for 2 days at a time, and it says no errors whatsoever. And then as soon as you boot up the game, blue again. Sadness.
God, that was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
It was obviously you, Steve-O. You were the...
I think so.
As soon as you gave me the same computers, they were fine.
If I was a PC, I would just try and freak out the most anxious person I know. If I knew that the owner would get really pissed off about this, I'd probably just blue screen.
It's like, not another ginger screen. Oh,
low-hanging fruit, Josh.
I know. They can't all be winners.
No, it was a good one. It was just low-hanging fruit.
Alrighty. So what do we got today, guys?
I guess first off the docket.
Sure.
I've been saying that a lot recently, and I don't really know what it means, but
it's a law term. The docket is a list of cases and whatnot.
I believe you.
Alumnus.
Man. Our buddy Mike, who was on last week from the Pod Nerdy to Me podcast, was telling us about his Advanced Death Saves Kickstarter, which he contributed some artwork to, comics, I believe. He actually wrote some stories for it.
Right.
And as of earlier this week, well, we're recording this a little early, but as of earlier last week, it funded.
That's nice.
It met its goal. Yeah. Right now it's got 12 hours to go as of this recording, and over $18,000
nice
pledged. So it's well over its 15,000 goal. 399 backers. Someone out there will be lucky number 400. And
give me a second. Give me a second. Hold on. Wait, is there a prize?
Congrats to Mike and all the other artists involved. It's fantastic. Well done. I'm looking forward to receiving mine.
Yeah. I don't know when they're supposed to ship out. I didn't look that far, but I'm sure they're hard at work on them. And
exactly.
To it.
This is when the work starts.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to think that the winning pledge learned about Advanced Death Saves on the Rather Be Playing podcast.
That's the most presumptuous thing I've ever heard, and I love it.
And it's absolutely true. I'm sure. Maybe they left us a review thanking us for that.
Maybe they did. And speaking of reviews, and also speaking of friends of the show, the Same Team Y'all podcast, where we had Eric, one of the hosts of that podcast, on the show a few weeks before Mike. I don't know if you guys have listened to the most recent episode, but they like to when they get really nice reviews and likes on iTunes and things like that, they like to share it with people on their podcast. And the one that they shared in the most recent episode was this really sweet thing that they were just kind of gushing over. And the secret that I have to tell about that was I was the one who wrote it.
It was you all along. That was a really nice review. I remember I did listen to the most recent episode, and it was very heartfelt. It was, and they loved it so much. They enjoyed reading it so much.
Yeah, it was. And I don't know if I should tell them. I don't know if I should surprise them. I don't know if I should just leave it
I think they'll find out in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think they've just been
in about 5 days or whatever.
They've just been surprised.
Yeah. Well, guys, I'm glad you liked the review. I wrote it a while ago after listening to the podcast and feeling especially good. And yeah, I was at the gym that morning listening to the podcast, and there's like a little bit in there I wrote about I had to set down the weights so I wouldn't hurt myself from laughing. It was true. Like it was legit. And then I came back. I was like, I'm gonna fucking write a good review here. So yeah. Good show. I almost said pod nerdy. Sorry, we've got too many podcasts in my head. Good show. Same team, y'all. Good podcast. Keep up the good work. And thanks for the kind words.
Keep spreading the love, guys. You're doing good work.
I guess I'll keep on talking because sorry.
Somebody else talk. Josh, say something.
I introduced you guys to them. I'm glad you liked them.
It's true.
Some good couple of guys.
So the last thing I'm going to say before we get into the meat of the podcast here is I've been wanting to tell you guys for the longest time. Let me think. It was before Eric was on. I think it was a week before Eric came on, which was 3 episodes ago. So that's 6 weeks. So that's almost 2 months. I've been sitting on this, that I went out and I bought something, and I haven't even told you guys off the podcast because I've been saving it for on the podcast.
Elliot, this sounds like it's been weighing on you. Have you told your priest?
I have not. I've not told.
You should probably stand up if you've been sitting on it for 6 weeks too. You should get out, get some air, or take a walk, something.
I know. It got to the point
as
that
it hatched.
I actually forgot 1 week. We had an open week between Mike and Eric, and I could have talked about it, and I just forgot I even had this thing.
Mustn't be that important then. Let's just move on to the next topic.
Sure. So,
Mario Odyssey. No, I bought a Sega Genesis.
A Sega Genesis?
Like an actual one, or one of those
Sega
like
Mega Drive?
An actual one, or one of those like 50 game in one things?
An actual working original model, original generation Sega Genesis.
Oh.
So was it because the Super Nintendo Classic came out? And
it was
a little bit...
I was definitely feeling the nostalgia. I'd already got the pre-order in. I was waiting for it to come in. Amy and I were at our usual brunch place. We're sitting outside. We're sitting outside, so that gives you an idea of what time of year this was. It wasn't fucking frigid November. And across the street, this lady starts setting up tables and putting a bunch of stuff, like electronic equipment, for sale on the sidewalk. And I noticed consoles. I couldn't get a good look, but then after we finished our brunch, we walked over, and she had... it was like a library, like an archive of old video game equipment and games. It was a lot of stuff.
Did you chat to her? Did you find out whose they were? And
she said they were her grandkids. There was a lot of consoles for grandkids, though.
Yeah.
But I believe her. And so it was like 2 Sega Genesis systems, 3 Super Nintendos, an Atari.
Oh, man.
Shitloads of games for everything except the Sega Genesis. But they had like Star Fox for Super Nintendo. They had Aladdin. They had...
You should have picked up a bunch of those.
Yeah,
I should have.
Why did you go for the Sega Genesis?
Because I've never had... Like, I've got a Super Nintendo. At the time, it was at my parents' house, and since then, I've brought it here to my house.
Yep.
So I wasn't interested in Super Nintendo, but it was surprisingly well preserved. It wasn't yellow. Like, it was still all gray. Like, it didn't do that yellowing thing that happens to it. So it was like hidden under a blanket for the last 20 years. But they had a bunch of also like PSP games. They had PSP games, GameCube games, PlayStation games, PS2 games.
Dude, you should have like called me, so I'd be like, dude, tell me what they have, and I'll pay you back.
I know, definitely. I can't believe you didn't tell us.
I didn't realize what kind of a goldmine I'd stumbled onto. Like, I was just looking for stuff I was interested in. And at the time, I was like, nothing really here I need. I've already got a Super Nintendo. I don't really want a Genesis.
Yeah.
And then...
I leave with a Genesis.
I had $10 on me, and I wanted to buy Luigi's Mansion for GameCube there. I was like, I've never had this. I've always wanted to play it. I'll just get it. And she's like, $2. And I was like, all I have is 10. And she's like, well, then... I don't have any change. Just take one of the consoles. So I took the Sega Genesis. It had Sonic and Knuckles in it. So the only games that came with Genesis were the ones that were already in there. She didn't have anything else.
Oh, okay.
And 2 controllers. Came home, plugged it in. It worked. There's in my town. There's like a local game store, like used game store. This guy runs it himself.
Us about it before.
Right.
So I went in there and I bought a Sega Genesis game. Which one was it?
It had to be Streets of Rage 2.
Shining in the Darkness. I wanted an RPG.
Shining in the Darkness. Interesting.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I've only played a little bit of it. It's very old.
Is that the first person one?
Yeah,
okay.
It's the very first game in the Shining series, so it's age. It's very much shows its age.
Gotcha.
But I'm not used to the 3 buttons thing.
Yeah,
and like Super Nintendo had 6, and it's just hard to figure out what you're supposed to do. But anyway, it's awesome. I love having a Sega Genesis. I played Sonic and Knuckles, which is fantastic. I'm not even a huge Sonic fan.
Well, the 3 buttons thing's easy for Sonic because you only need 1.
It's fine for Sonic. Yeah, no big deal. But and so when I went to that game store to buy the extra game, I told him about it. I was like, I just got a Sega Genesis from this lady up the street who's selling a shit ton of systems.
And he threw you out of the way and ran out past you and bought everything off her for like another $10.
He didn't seem that interested. He was like, oh, okay, cool. And then the next week when I went in again, because I usually in the weekends we just kind of walk around town and we'll like stop by the bookstores and I'll stop in this game gallery. So I've got kind of a rapport with this guy, and then he's like, yo, thanks for the tip. I went up and cleaned her out. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, $50, and he bought everything.
Elliot.
This is sounding
less like you snoozed on this.
This is sounding less and less like a triumphant story and more of a, I feel like, man, I just saw like this boat. I just missed my train.
Yeah, I feel like you should have told your priest this.
It's a small town with a local used video game store that's not a GameStop. I feel like I'm supporting the local community. I gave him a hot tip. And it hurt because the one thing I regretted not picking up more than anything was Star Fox. I'd never had a Star Fox cartridge. And even though I've got it on the SNES Classic, it would have been cool to have. I went to a store and I saw Star Fox sitting there for $30. And I was like, man, I could have got it for like $2.
Damn.
But I got it on the SNES Classic anyway. So whatever. Didn't even need the cartridge. He's the sucker. No, it was a crazy story, and the guy's really cool, and I'm glad it went somewhere that it's gonna be like he like takes the consoles apart and cleans them out and does good stuff there, and they're actually expanding now, so they're doing pretty well. I like to think that my little tip helped a lot.
So now the real question is, did you leave a QR code for Rather Be Playing with the old lady? Because I feel like the truth is she's a games addict and she's been playing all her life, and she was dying. You know, she's trying to wean herself off because she was spending too much. She obviously bought the Nintendo Switch and she bought the Super NES Classic, and that's why she's getting rid of all these old ones. She's got no room for them left, and you know, she probably would have listened to a podcast if you'd given her a chance. You know, her grandkids. You know, it's obviously
that was obviously a line. How many times have you hear that? Like.
Yeah. So now you got all these retro systems. You have time to play anything else now? You can play
whole lot of an old game called Destiny, and actually no, Mario Odyssey is I think the one on the docket this time. We've all played it, we all beat it, we all fucking had a great time with it.
Steve-O, when did you beat it?
Someone else talked.
I beat it about 10 minutes ago. And it was fantastic, I have to say. I enjoyed the finale, and we've already said that we're not gonna like give away too many spoilers, especially late game or post game. But
it's just too cool. You guys have to play it for yourselves. It's unbelievable.
You really do. It feels like Zelda in that way. It's very much the experience that the whole thing is about. You are working with the same mechanics throughout a few different things because so the main one is you have this hat called Cappy, who is kind of your friend, but he allows you to possess other animals and characters in the game.
Wait. So actually, he allows you to capture. And can we talk about that awesome double entendre? Can we talk about the great wordplay there?
Oh,
I never considered that. That's amazing.
I had not worked that out either.
Nintendo Treehouse at its finest. Yeah, it's Cappy Capture. Do you think that's really it? I thought Cappy was just
It's definitely it. It's capture. Yeah. It's definitely it. I can't believe I didn't notice that.
Otherwise, he would have been called Hattie.
Tell us about the first time that you captured something, Josh, because that was an experience.
So, very early on in the game, I mean, it's one of the main mechanics that throughout the entire game, so it introduces it pretty early. You have to throw your cap onto a frog, and I tell you, I was not expecting just to watch Mario like fly into a cerebral hellscape.
It's so good.
every time I'm capturing things throughout the game, I'm just imagining being like
Mario officially tripping balls because that is what it was like.
Being Mario.
The blood curdling scream the entire time too. He's just like, my God, poor guy. I'm sorry. Take it off. Take the hat off the stupid frog. It's not worth it.
Josh, was being Mario, Mario, like being John Malkovich.
Very good.
What you're doing there?
Very good.
I see what you're doing there. I got it. It's a very interesting mechanic though, because all of the enemies that you come across are so varied and so different. Some of them jump, some of them swim, some of them fly, and you can capture pretty much any enemy in the game that doesn't wear a cap, I think.
Well, I mean,
or that does. You can knock the hats off.
You just have to knock the hats off, but there are some enemies that you can't capture. It's like they took the one of the big mechanics from Kirby and mixed it into Mario.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's an astute observation. I don't really play Kirby, but that sounds... Yeah.
With Kirby, you inhale enemies and you press down, and then all of a sudden you get like a sword. You inhale the sword guy. Yeah, I went with the word inhale, but yeah.
You suck the enemies, and then you can do what they can do.
Jesus Christ.
What a concept.
But yeah, it's a neat mechanic, and I really enjoyed the game. Like I can't remember if I mentioned it last episode, but the last Mario game I've actually really played was the original Galaxy, and that was only I played like maybe 2/3 of it. I think I just got distracted by something shiny. It wasn't that I didn't enjoy it or anything. And then before that, it was like the new Super Mario Brothers, whatever the one that was on DS.
Oh yeah.
And then Mario World before that. I mean, I've played like Mario 64, but I never owned it or anything, so I've like touched it here and there, but that's about it. But
was this one very like Galaxy, Josh?
I mean, it's similar. I mean, it's slightly different controls, and there's less of there's not any of that weird gravity defying mechanic stuff that's in Galaxy, where you're walking on planets upside down and things like that. But I mean, it's the same general progression. You're running around in a 3D relatively open world. Well, now Galaxy was a little bit more linear, but
do you think so? I feel like Galaxy had more, like they had like the comet levels. I feel like the post game was a lot more.
Well, no, but I mean, but they were all segmented levels, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I see. Like the main.
How did you move between levels in Galaxy?
It was like in the old Mario, like Mario 64 and things like that. Once you get a star, was it stars? No, it was
Galaxies.
Yeah, no, I don't remember.
Oh no! Oh, yeah. Whatever.
I think it was some sort of star.
You get stars.
Every time you get a star, you'd have to go back into the level and get another star and keep repeating that process. And that's basically how a lot of the Mario games have worked ever since Mario 64.
Yeah, so Mario 64 had an overworld. Did Galaxy have an overworld in a similar way?
It has a hub. It's like Mario 64 had a hub world. It wasn't really an overworld. It's a hub.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Well, I'm just, it's just, I mean, it's a slight difference. They're kind of the same thing. But yeah, Mario Galaxy had like a hub where you had your own little home planet thing where you'd get shot off to all the other various other places. Whereas like in Odyssey, you've got the Odyssey, which it's not really a hub world so much as just your method of traveling between the different places.
Yeah, it's very segmented, moving from kingdom to kingdom, but the kingdoms themselves are as open world, it seems, as Mario 64 was. Like, would one of the kingdoms in this be as big as the entire game in Mario 64, or was Mario 64 a pretty big game itself?
I think the individual worlds in Mario Odyssey are definitely bigger than any individual one in Mario 64. Some of the ones in Mario Odyssey are a lot smaller. Like thinking back, some of them are massive, like the sand one, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Mario 64, looking back, the levels were actually pretty self-contained and not that big. But I mean, again, you're also looking at a game with much lower polygon count, much older hardware. I mean, so it's they are still a decent size, but they're not detailed. They don't have a lot of the neat little things that Odyssey has that you can, not Easter. Well, yeah, kind of like Easter egg things you'll see in the background, stuff like that. So
yeah, and of course, a big difference between 64 and Odyssey was that I think in 64, if you collected certain items, it would bump you out back to the
once you got a star, you'd get kicked out and you'd come back in, do it again. Whereas in Odyssey, you could just keep running around collecting moons as much as possible until you want to drop them off back at the Odyssey.
And I really like that. It does make you just want to keep exploring and keep moving further in the direction you were going, or over to the other side where you spotted that thing,
Well, yeah, but think about it this way too. Mario 64 and Sunshine, and actually I don't remember how many there were in Galaxy, but in 64 and Sunshine there were 120 stars total. In Odyssey there's 900 moons, something ridiculous like that. So imagine getting kicked out every single time. I would throw my Switch at the wall.
I totally agree. I'm saying it's great design. But what I will say is I'm still really impressed with how good this game looks, how quick it runs, how big the levels are and how much there is to do in it. I've been pretty impressed with the Switch in general, and if the video that Elliot was sending us earlier of Doom is anything to go by, it really feels like Switch could be the real deal. It could be a proper console, whereas I wasn't sure that would be the case.
I mean, I think it is. It's
really portable, so I kind of thought it might end up somewhere like the Vita, kind of like wallowing, treading water, and then everyone stops making games for it.
Well, there's a difference between the two. The Switch has first party support.
The greatest first party support. Like Super Mario Odyssey and Zelda are some of the greatest games.
The Wii U had outstanding first party support. Like first party support was the only thing that kept the Wii U going. The only thing that made it worth buying.
But we're already seeing influx of indies and stuff on the Switch and stuff.
It's night and day difference. I was just wanted to correct that. Like this new Nintendo that's suddenly really good at games started like halfway through the Wii U cycle, I think, and they've carried it into Switch and like just ramped it up. It's a really nice Nintendo.
So am I the only one who's like blown away by Mario's fidelity? Like,
oh God,
just think it's just average? Or?
So good. No.
The game's beautiful.
The game in general, I think, looks gorgeous and sounds gorgeous.
900p. That's the highest resolution Mario's ever been, I think. And 60 FPS as always. It just looks so good in motion.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that you're playing it on ostensibly a tablet. Like,
right.
You think that. You look at the thing out there, you pull it. Like I played almost the whole thing on my TV. So like, it's
you kind of had to, unless you want to be frustrated though. That's the sad thing.
Because it's so hard to control with the motion controls and stuff.
Well, you can't really use the waggle if you're playing it in tablet mode. So I mean, you can prop up the tablet somewhere else and use it that way, but that's not really usually how I'll play it. So.
Yeah, I played the vast majority of it on the TV as well. Today, actually finishing it up was the first time I ever played it in handheld mode. And it was just, I was feeling lazy and wanted to sit in the couch and just like not be sitting upright and staring at a TV,
because you can with the Switch. It's such a nice I was telling you guys, it makes me want to buy every game twice, like once on PC and then once on Switch.
You got a problem, man. You
gotta
stop that.
I would if they did cross save across all Switch versions and PC versions of games, that'd be it for me. Like,
but they'll never ever do that.
I know that's just my pipe dream. Oh man.
Yeah, but playing it in handheld mode was the first time that I was just thinking, how is this running on this little machine? This looks as good as any other game I've played this year. Like, obviously, it's smooth and it's cartoony and it's not as graphically intensive as a lot of the other games that I've played, but it looks as good.
It's just it's very clean.
Character and design.
It's clean.
It's beautiful. The art design is
and the colors.
It's Nintendo. Yeah.
What was your favorite part of it? I loved it all, but I could break it down. What did you enjoy, Josh?
Oh, geez. I mean, I enjoyed pretty much the whole thing. I mean, like the one thing that I thought was just kind of neat that I honestly didn't know about before picking it up was the whole the 2D levels. I had no idea those were in there.
Yeah,
I just
you didn't see the trailers.
I other than like the big old the stuff that was shown during the like E3, I guess it was, or something, or maybe like the Treehouse. I saw like mostly hit the 3D stuff. I don't if they showed anything, I don't remember it. So
I avoided it all. 3D, 2D, avoided everything.
It was the Nintendo Direct where they showed like the 2D levels, and they showed Mario throwing his cap on a T-Rex, and it was like, fuck yes.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all, but I was just like, oh, there's 2D in this game. This is kind of cool, and it's old Mario.
Yeah, the inventiveness, the little Easter eggs, the things that you didn't think were going to work when you tried them, and then they worked, and you're just like, boom, this is awesome. This like they thought of everything, and you could tell that while they're making it, they're like, people are gonna fucking love this.
Yeah. How could this is the thing? Like sometimes when you see games and you wonder during development, did they enjoy playing this? Did they tell themselves this would be a fun game to play? This you have to believe at all times they were loving it.
100%. How couldn't you?
Elliot, as you say, the 2D levels, basically you could go into a pipe and it would flatten you onto a 2D surface, and you would play 8-bit Mario, jumping on, what do you call them, Goombas and Koopas and all the rest of it. It was amazing.
It was like little like bonus Super Mario Brothers 1 levels built into the game in the middle of the 3D like.
And some of the levels like interacted with the 3D as well. There was one like little I don't know what you want to call them, the sub stages. But like you go down a pipe and it's just its own little self-contained level. There was one that drove me absolutely batshit crazy for about 30 minutes, where like there's this moving backdrop behind you that you have to stay within, or else the game suddenly says, "Oh, you're in the 3D world," and you fall to your death.
Oh shit! I don't think I played that one.
I don't think I played that one either. So watch your step.
But yeah, that one was frustrating. I finally finished it though.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And this is the thing about this game. The satisfaction of every moon that you found was the joy of it for me. It was like Zelda in that way. It was, walking in a certain direction and seeing something and being like, I got to figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
And then getting there was the joy. That's why you kept going.
Chase that high.
Seriously.
So a lot of complaints, if anyone had anything bad to say about it, it was that it was too easy. There was a lot of repetitive boss fights, which is pretty much the same, like 3 or 4 ideas, like made slightly more complicated and recycled over and over again. And I definitely get that. The game was an absolute joy to play, and it's kind of fly through it. Like it's a little simple.
Did you find any of the boss fights hard? The only one that I found hard was the final one.
No, I didn't at all, because it was the same fight as another one you did earlier.
Did you have 3 hearts or did you have 6?
I think I don't know. I can't remember. Might have been
3.
I think I had 3.
Final.
I had 3 and I died a couple of times. It was the only one that I had to repeat more than once.
Yeah, but I mean,
most of them you could get on first try, I think.
Most of any sort of like again, like Elliot said, I mean, the game was really easy. I mean, the only like deaths I really had were from I missed time to jump onto like a rotating platform or something, or there were some times like when you capture like a bullet bill, or when you're on certain platforms, like the controller doesn't recognize that you still want to move left relative to the way you're moving, and I'm suddenly going right into a wall, and I'm like, no. Figure out where I want to go, damn it.
You had serious problems with that. But the point of that is that it's really sensitive, turning you around immediately, so that if the bullet bill was coming towards you and going into a wall, so that you can get it turned around.
No. It's like
after that, the control swap. Like, is that what you're trying to say?
So, like, in Mario's movement is not relative movement. You press forward, he moves away from the camera. You press down, he moves towards you. Whereas bullet bill's relative movement.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it doesn't swap immediately. So like, I mean, I know how to switch from those two. I've played like Resident Evil and all those other games that use like the tank controls and all that. But like, I'll start trying to turn left the moment I'm like capturing the bullet bill, and he goes like the same way Mario was just going or something. It does not trigger immediately, and it drove me crazy every now and again.
I had trouble the first few times. Yeah, I remember that.
That's funny. I guess I do remember that now, but I just found it pretty easy at the time.
I mean, it's just a minor niggle. I mean, I got past it, obviously, but it's just like it's frustrating for those few seconds where I'm like, okay, I just have to like wait 2 seconds after I do it and make sure the bullet bill doesn't hit a wall, and then I can control it or something.
Yeah.
So what do you think about the difficulty side of things? Do you think that it should have been harder to make it to the end of the story? Or do you think that the joy is really going back in there and finding all the moons, and that, really the difficulty of it wasn't the point? The point is that you're going to be playing this game for months regardless.
Yeah. I mean, I think you could say the same thing about Zelda. That was a really easy game as well. And it's about the fun, the journey, the like going back and completing it 100%. There's much, much more to do. And I'm not put off really that much at all by how easy it was. And I'm kind of waiting to withhold judgment until I see how much post game there really is. Because I remember after you beat Galaxy and after you beat like Galaxy 2, Sunshine, all like previous Mario games, even like Mario 3D World, like you get to the credits and there's an entire game the same length of the first game after the credits of 3D World, and 10 times harder. It was
it's not just the same game.
No, it was a really like robust post game. It was an entire second half of game plus like another challenge world beyond that, and the difficulty ramped way up. And if you're going to like collect every little thing that you can collect in each level, it was even harder and harder and harder. And it was a very fulfilling, fun, like kind of chase the 100% completion way to play the game. And I don't really know exactly what the format's going to be for Odyssey. It seemed like it ended and it's like, now you can go back and get these more moons in each world. Yeah. And it's like, if that's all it is, and it's not, well, like I have to reserve judgment. I have to see how hard, like I've gone back and gotten another, like, I don't know.
I mean, some of the new little pipes that you get to go down to with the new little stages, those there's a bit more challenge to those. I mean, I still not like, again, Mario doesn't need to beat Dark Souls. I'm not saying every game needs to be insane. But I mean, just the main game, like, I mean, yes, you can collect a bunch of the extra moons along the way, but the main general critical path throughout the game there wasn't much challenge at all. So that's the only thing. I really enjoyed the game, and not everything needs to be hard. I think there could have been a little more in there.
Yeah, I agree. And it's funny you mentioned Dark Souls, because every one of those boss battles that I just beat first time, I was thinking anyone who's ever played Dark Souls is just going to fly through this game. It was pretty easy, but it was so much fun.
Yeah, the like as Josh said, the platform, like certain platforming parts was the hardest part. Like the bosses were, didn't even really need to be there.
Yeah,
it was like, and since I beat it, I went back just for fun, and because I haven't finished yet the like ultimate challenge level, like the last level of 3D World, because it's just way too fucking hard and way too long. So I went back after finishing Odyssey to 3D World just to try that last level again, and it's such a different game. Like I don't want to say like breath of fresh air, because like the difficulty fucking kicks you in the ass, but it's a different game, and you can tell like it made me really hope that they've got something like that in store for more of the post game, and I intend to kill the post game. So maybe in a couple episodes from now, once we're all
catch up, fools.
Well, this is the good thing, Josh. Yeah, I feel like you are going to be the one dragging us along. How many did you say you've got?
God, I think it's like around 350, something like that.
Oh, jeez.
Oh man, you got to catch up on Eric.
Yeah, Eric, 400, and he wasn't even done with the game at the time.
If I wasn't traveling for work so much, I would.
we got to create an online leaderboard. I mean, it's just going to be between Josh and Eric, but still.
Isn't there a leaderboard in the game?
There's leaderboards for like the little mini games, like jump roping and New Dunk City.
There's got to be one for moons too. I mean,
don't think so. There's not even an easy way to see them, is there?
Yeah, you have to go to the event and look at the leaderboard there.
Oh no, I was talking about the number of moons. Where do you go to be able to see?
Oh, you just look on top of the Odyssey.
Okay, yeah.
Balloon.
But you have... Yeah, I think my problem was always that I was only trading them in once I knew that I had enough to go to the next place.
Yeah.
But if I was like trading them in all the time, then you can look at the Odyssey and see your total straight up to the second that you traded in the last ones.
Right.
I think you can check something in the pause menu somewhere as well.
I thought so, but I was searching for it and I couldn't find it. Anyway, regardless, a great game. The thing that I loved about both Mario and Zelda as well was you basically get given all of your tools to work with right at the start of the game. Yeah. And it's all about you getting better at the game as you go. And the satisfaction when like moons that you would have thought were hard or difficult to get or out of reach at the start of the game, when you spot one, you're like, I know how I'm going to get that. That's going to be easy. It's that satisfaction. You're so good at the game at that point. It's just about exploring the world and finding them all, you know?
Yeah, you never think, oh, maybe I'll get something later that'll help me get that, because you've got everything. It's just your brain. You have to be smart enough and resilient enough to keep at it till you get it. Chase that high.
There are a couple that you have to warp in from a different place. Where because I know in the very beginning, like the first world, there's one way up on this floating island that you just can't get to, and you get there by coming back later, sort of.
Shit, there's a real frustrating one without giving away too many details. But in the Cap Kingdom, once you finish it, I finished it and I started going through the kingdoms to get 100%, get all the coins and get all the moons, and there is one that stumped me until it drove me to look it up online, and it turns out it's
don't tell us how to do it.
I won't tell you how to do it, but the thing that pissed me off was that it's not in the Cap Kingdom. You have to go somewhere else. So it's how are you supposed to fucking know?
Yeah, so New Donk City, I got there before getting there by
the painting.
So I'm guessing it's going to be similar.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed there's, I think, one of those at least for each world or something like that.
One of those paintings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when I went back to one of the earlier kingdoms, I jumped in a painting and went to Bowser's Castle. Oh, shit. Yep. Maybe I shouldn't talk about Bowser's Castle.
Oh, my God. Bowser's in this?
Bowser has a castle? You fight Bowser in this?
And then I was like, was this always here, or did this just open up because I finished the game? But I guess it's always been there. Could you imagine going through that and being like, oh shit, I can beat the game?
I got there early too, and I was sitting there going, but then I'd also done the one Steve-O was talking about earlier, and I was like, okay, this is just one of those things. So
yeah,
I knew I was.
So that's kind of cool. It's a cool touch.
Yeah.
And that the painting obviously called back to Mario 64.
Yep.
Very appreciative. That was awesome.
Again, getting sucked into a cerebral hellscape as he gets transported to the other place. Mario and Jean-Paul Sartre could make a game.
Nintendo's twisted.
It might happen. Here, they let Ubisoft make a game, so you never know.
Hey, that game was awesome, okay?
I know.
One challenge left. I have one challenge left, and I've been debating the DLC, but I've got one ultimate challenge left, and it sucks.
As soon as you finish it, mail me that game.
I was trying to get it for Christmas for my brother or something. He'll do it. He'll do it for me. When you mentioned Doom, when I was looking at the Resetera thread on because that's where I picked the video out of, and people were kind of talking about the hardware differences between Xbox, PS4, and PC, obviously, and Switch. And someone mentioned that the Switch has an 18-watt power draw compared to the PS4's 100 watts, and the 360s or the Xbox One's 150 watts. And it's just how, with the amount of power this thing actually pulls, it's battery powered. How does it power this? Is it just wizardry? Is it some kind of trick of development? And it
makes it all the more interesting that Xbox and Microsoft are going the direction where they're just going power. With the Xbox One X, they're trying to blow PS4 and PS4 Pro out of the water and thinking that graphical fidelity is what's going to draw the gamers back to them, because they feel that maybe they lost a lot of people due to the PS4 being more powerful than the original Xbox One. But like, surely the thing that Zelda is telling us, the thing that Mario is telling us, that games can be beautiful without being graphically intensive.
Yeah.
But there's a market for both. That's the thing is, so when you look back at things like say PlayStation versus N64 way back in the day.
Yep.
People who buy Mario and Zelda are always going to buy Mario and Zelda. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe you'll lose one or two or gain one and two here and there, but that's like a known quantity for the most part. And you know what you're getting with a Mario and a Zelda game. It's going to be relatively, clean looking. It'll be not cartoony, but not like a realistic looking game, if you will.
Yeah.
But it'll be fun. It'll be just have that Nintendo charm and that sort of thing. Whereas there are millions of other IPs out there, that go run the gamut of post-apocalyptic, steampunk. There's just a whole bunch of different things that kind of. I mean, I'm sure there are ways to do things in a cartoony way, but when you're looking at something like, I'll just pick, Fallout 3. I mean, yeah, it's cartoony in some ways, but there's detail that you need to have, like, for that, realism, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Again, Fallout 3 is a little older now, but
well, what I find myself asking is, Josh, with Fallout 4, I was disappointed because to me it looked like an up-resed Fallout 3.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, I am thinking, would I have invested more in the characters if it was more of a cartoony setting? If it was more of an artistic design that didn't make me think, oh, the uncanny valley is just too much here. These people are clearly not people.
Something could be said for, Bethesda's artistic direction. I mean, just look back at Oblivion when, the faces were just really creepy. But I mean, I think you're comparing apples and oranges here. Again, there are some IPs and series out there where it's just cartoony. That's just the way it is. I mean, there have been Zelda games like Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess where, everything's a lot more realistic looking, or even Breath of the Wild. I mean, yeah, it's got like the cell shaded, kind of look to it parts there, but it's still not like a cartoon, if you will. It's more like a living painting type thing.
All games have art. Their art, like nothing is photorealistic.
Right.
Even things that are artistically enhanced, like movies are artistically enhanced, and those are photorealistic.
Actually,
you pick the right lighting, you pick the right, nothing looks like real life actually looks.
Right. But sorry to interrupt you, but I just remembered something. So, Steve-O, you were the one that was telling me you were surprised I didn't like Heavy Rain, right?
I think so. Yeah. It's a good story.
Heavy Rain. Would you have liked to have played Heavy Rain if it was like made with Mario-like graphics?
No, I wouldn't. I agree in that case, but that's very cinematic. That's very almost cutscene based.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of my point. There's different kinds of art direction. It's not necessarily one.
I totally agree.
You might have a preference, but there's not really a.
But the example that you picked in particular was Fallout.
Yeah, I just picked it off the top of my head.
But I latched onto that because Fallout, you're having these conversations and you're seeing it in it's rendered in game, and you're watching these like kind of chunky, blocky looking characters talk to each other, and they stand pretty still, and occasionally they do the same twitch with their face or touch their hand to their head in exactly the same way over and over, and the uncanny valley effect is so big that it just really it takes you out of the game completely. So what I would say is, like, whereas Fallout 3 was so cutting edge that looked amazing and that drew you in, Fallout 4 kicked you back. Everyone was expecting more from it, or at least personally I was hoping for more from it. And if they had gone a different way and made it more cartoony, I wonder maybe that would have allowed me to enjoy the story for itself instead of getting hung up on, oh, this is the same game repackaged, essentially,
I mean, I don't think anything could have really saved the story. So I don't know what to tell you there. But again, I mean, I think we're just arguing preferences at this point. I mean, for me, the Fallout world is, it's primarily dark, it's shitty, and you're running around shooting zombies and ghouls and robots. So I need something less, less Mario, more Blade Runner, if you will.
Perhaps. But what I would say is, like, between EA saying that they have to go for graphical fidelity and that's what people want, and Xbox going for a similar thing. I wonder, well, like the games that I find myself loving are like indie games, or they are Zelda and Mario. More and more, I'm not being drawn towards the Uncharted 4s. I'm being drawn towards the things that have character as opposed to the things that have amazing graphical fidelity.
But nothing's stopping people from making those games for, say, like the Xbox One X.
I agree, except for EA shutting them down. Except for the giant publishers saying, okay, this is what we need. We need to churn out the best graphics in FIFA and the best graphics in Battlefront every year, and everyone else gets laid off. No more single player. Like, this is what I'm saying.
Okay, but you're talking about EA and their subsidiaries, though. I was talking about like
EA,
put Stardew Valley up on the Xbox One X. There's nothing stopping that from happening. The 4K, the tech specs for the Xbox One X, that's just a ceiling. It's not a floor.
Sure. Let the indie games keep on rolling. But all I'm saying is I wish that AAA wasn't always aiming to have graphics like a Naughty Dog game. You're never going to make graphics and cutscenes like an Uncharted game or like The Last of Us. Only Naughty Dog are going to do that. So I wish more companies, more big developers would go for something more akin to Mario, Zelda, less realistic and more character, more color.
And people respond to that, like the ukulele game. People were really anticipating it. It didn't turn out as good as they'd hoped, but like, it's nice to have that Nintendo. I don't know, and maybe it's because people think they're getting a Nintendo game on a non-Nintendo console, and it is a quality that Nintendo seems to. I don't know. Maybe it's not fair to say like that they can get away with it better than most others. People kind of
Overwatch as well.
So okay, that's a great example. Yeah, Overwatch very much has that look, that aesthetic. Bright colors,
and people love it all the more for it.
Yeah.
But again,
that's
it's
so true.
I think we're arguing, but I mean, I kind of agree with the point that you don't have to have like these massive technical masterpieces as far as graphics are concerned. But I mean, if we're boiling it down to it, we're just talking about putting lipstick on a pig. If a game's bad, it's going to be bad.
Sure, no matter what it looks like. What I'm saying is, what if EA was to carve up their Battlefront team right now and say, we're not going for the best graphics in our multiplayer game. We're going to go for decent graphics or maybe even cartoony Star Wars graphics in the multiplayer game. And we'll also go for cartoony graphics in the Star Wars single player, very story heavy game that all of us really want, that all of us are really crying out for.
I mean, I think it's still just a design decision. It's not necessarily a matter of...
It is.
But graphical fidelity needs a big team.
Yeah.
Whereas, there's still fidelity. It's just a different... It's not... You're not looking at like tiny little details so much as just how clean stuff looks.
Mm-hmm. It's art versus technology.
Yeah.
And I think there's also a sense that if you're EA, you're kind of expected. Like, I feel like if they can't do it, like it's not their market, and they're obviously they want their market to be as many people as possible. But if EA put out a Star Wars game that didn't look like the best thing ever made, I don't know how people respond to it. People would think, oh, this is like Disney Infinity or something, and it's for kids, and it would change their market.
Well, here's another question, Elliot. What if EA was to release an arcade soccer game? One that didn't have the graphical fidelity of FIFA, but did have real player names and real.
Funny you say that. They did that with hockey a few years ago.
Yeah,
and it was like a 3-on-3 like cartoon hockey game, which was a lot of fun. It was really well received. Like people liked it, and that was the only one they did. And then they like pulled the plug.
And that's exactly it. Like people are in many ways like there was definitely a whole community willing to invest in Overwatch because it was cartoony and fun, and people see that as more accepting than high graphics, high graphical intensity, and like just shooting, just military dudes, army men.
Can you say that's why though? Can you say that it's not because it was Blizzard doing a first person or a multiplayer shooter? Like that had a lot to do with it. The name behind it had a lot to do with it. It was in beta for like a year or two or something like that, and people had gotten a taste of it, and the word of mouth was getting around that it was going to be fun regardless of how it looked.
Yeah. Okay. So fair enough. Maybe I'm just projecting completely, but as far as I can tell, like it seems to me, maybe only because it applies to me, that there's a different love for Zelda and Mario and Overwatch than there is for the Battlefield games that come out every year that are so amazing looking, or the Battlefront games that come out every year. Now I know I'm picking different genres, and
no, I mean I think Overwatch is a great example that you don't need the cutting edge. You can focus on gameplay and then just have a good artist make nice looking assets, and you don't need it to like everything maxed out to the absolute max, 60 frames per second, no hiccups at all. I don't even have to overclock it.
Overwatch runs like a dream.
And it runs for anyone, everywhere. For like, you can on any, not on a calculator, but you could run on any machine, and it's very accessible. Like that's the thing. Like it's accessible, but it's still good. Like I think like what I learned from that is that looks definitely aren't everything. The technology definitely isn't everything. It's game design. Game design is what people respond to. Game design is what makes a game. And gamers know that. They can sense that. They can figure it out. That's why when you have like Too Human, like that was this technical marvel that was in development for 12 years or something like that. And it came out and it played like crap. When it plays like crap, it plays like crap, and it sells like crap. Like we know that, we're past being fooled by like awesome trailers. We've been burned enough times.
Yeah, I mean, gameplay definitely needs to be like forefront. I mean, if the game doesn't play well, I mean, there are games out there where you can look past like shoddy graphics for the most part, as long as the game plays well. Like there's a game on Steam called Steven's Sausage Roll. It's the dumbest idea ever. You basically have to like push these sausages around and cook them on both sides, and it's a puzzle game. It looks like dirt, but it's
if
like,
only it had co-op multiplayer, we could all play this.
It's frustratingly fun though. So, but yeah.
What was another one? Arkham, or Batman Arkham Knight. Garbage game. Amazing looking. Yeah, it was so beautiful,
and I'm sure the team was hundreds of people. My point can be summed up like this: EA recently shut down Visceral Games. And that was because they were making a single player game, which doesn't go along with what EA wants right now. Which
is loot boxes.
Yeah, exactly. No multiplayer games with amazing graphics and loot boxes, or in FIFA's case, amazing graphics and cards. Which are the same as loot boxes, by the way, in case you didn't know that. And the question is, like, how much could people love a game if that team of like 200 people or 300 people or whatever works on one of those two games to churn one out annually was split up, and they didn't have to worry about graphical fidelity? They could actually create a piece of art, possibly even something with a single player narrative, God forbid.
I bet every developer working under the thumb of a massive publisher has that dream to one day be able to do that. I
guess that's why we rely on indies.
Yeah. That's how.
And then there's one jaded guy that's always like, all right, 2K19, I can do this. Oh, paycheck. Okay.
Yeah, that's how Yacht Club got to be. Not that Way Forward was some big graphical powerhouse, but, when you're being forced to create art that isn't yours, that isn't something you want to make, like you're gonna, how you want it done. And even like project leads, like the heads of the studios know better. And it comes up from non-creative people telling them, like the money people telling them to do it this way and that way. And I'm sure it breaks our hearts even more than ours to have to do that.
Yeah. So I guess we just, hopefully Visceral will start something different, and you never know, maybe they can create a game similar to the original Dead Space, a survival horror that can grip people and give people a single player story to get invested in, and hopefully wish them all the best anyway.
Rise from the ashes, Visceral. Come on.
Do it. So what else have we been playing, guys?
Oh, man. Just Mario and Destiny for me.
Destiny.
Yeah.
Strange man, Elliot.
It's so
you strange
good.
Beast.
It's so good. I haven't even really played that much. But it's It's so much fun. And Josh, get it on PC, you bastard.
No.
Both of you. We could have a team. It would be so good.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
It would.
Josh, how much have you played of it?
I mean, I haven't played in a few weeks just because I've been insanely busy. But I mean,
does that mean you can't play it anymore because the people who you play with are like a million miles ahead of you?
No, not really. I mean, I'm still basically at the end game content stuff, so it's not like
yeah, I gotta get there.
At this point, it's like they're incrementally better than I am. They're not like miles ahead or anything. So, like,
is there a Resetera clan that you're in? There was a Gaff clan.
I guess it might be that now.
Oh, they just changed the name.
It might be. Yeah. Again, I haven't checked in since that whole debacle, so I have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I play with my cousin Carlos. I don't actually play with him, but you can join. Like, I'm on PC, and he and most of his friends are on PS4. But I can still join their clan, and I can, like, I don't know what clan, like, you add to their points, or you get the clan rewards and stuff.
Yep.
Like, when I jump on, it says that I'm in his clan, and
I keep forgetting. I should at least log in like once a week. I keep forgetting to do that.
I made a Rather Be Playing clan for PS4, and I invited both of you guys into it. So yeah, you haven't logged in a while.
Wait, so can you be part of multiple clans?
No,
per platform. Yeah. Only one clan per platform. So on PC, I'm on my cousin's PS4 platform, and then I created Rather Be Playing as a PS4 platform.
I'm already in one on the PS4.
I'm not a part of.
Yeah, I was about to say, the reason this is cracking me up is the idea of Josh being the only person in the Rather Be Playing clan on PS4. I feel like, Elliot, you've set this thing up, but you're doing none of the groundwork whatsoever.
I just wanted to make it so that we had like our flag in the ground. We're a Destiny 2 community, guys. You're invited too, Steve. You've got a Bungie account from Destiny 1, so you can easily hop on in.
All right, Steve-O, you got to play Destiny with Elliot now.
I don't think I'm going to play Destiny. I don't think Elliot's even playing Destiny.
I am. I crashed my video card trying to fucking overclock it with Destiny. If that's not love, I don't know what is.
But see, for me, again, I've been just freaking all over the place lately as far as traveling for work, and hell, even after we recorded this episode, I'm out traveling for another like 5 days, so it's just a mess. So
yeah, we barely got this one in. This was a magic episode.
Yeah, so I mean, I've been playing some more Stardew Valley. I'm almost done with Golf Story on the Switch.
Oh yeah,
for both of those games,
so good. Another one that Eric was playing as well, I think.
Yeah, Josh,
you're a million miles further than us, aren't you? I'm just got to Cheeky Beak.
Tell me something I don't know.
Are you literally on the final course, or where have you got
I think I'm about to go to the final course. I don't know if there's any like side quests or stuff in between there, but
yeah,
I think I'm heading to the final place.
Such a fun game. It is like, obviously I'm going to keep going back to Super Mario Odyssey, but Golf Story is the game when I don't want to have to concentrate too much. I can just sit and play a little bit of that. As well, Mario Odyssey, I was trying to stream a little bit of. So I've streamed like about 4.5 hours of it, I think. I probably should have streamed my beaten the final boss, but you know, sometimes you're just feeling lazy.
But the user content, Steve-O.
Gotta get that content. gotta post that good content.
So other than Odyssey though, what you guys gonna at least play here on out for at least the next few weeks?
So our next episode is like, well, right after Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah.
So a lot of us will be like home and traveling and probably playing a bit on our Switches. And what comes out between now and then for Switch?
Destiny.
Rocket League, dude.
Destiny on Switch. Ellie can buy it on there as well.
I would fucking buy it on Switch. Are you kidding? Like I said, everything that comes out on Switch, I'm so tempted to double dip, but I won't. I won't do it. Like, I'm not going to do it on Doom or Wolfenstein or even Skyrim. I don't think, but
I might do it on Skyrim.
Okay, so the Zelda, the extra like content, like you can make your guy look Link and stuff.
Yeah,
is surprisingly tempting me.
Oh, I don't care about that. I just like, it's one of those games where like Morrowind and Oblivion and even Skyrim back when I played it on PC, where you could just kind of get lost for a while.
So. Yeah, you could play that forever, and you always think, man, I wish I didn't have to be on my PC to do this. Mm-hmm. Now you don't have to. And apparently...
If I could get a portable Morrowind, I'd be in heaven. Give me Morrowind. Bethesda, listen to me. Put Morrowind on Switch. I don't care if it looks the same.
They'll give you Elder Scrolls Online, and you'll get the Morrowind expansion, and you'll fucking like it.
No, not the same.
Yeah. Well, so anyone else getting it? Is it just me? No? Rocket League? I guess it's just me.
I've already double dipped. We've already double dipped.
We've all double dipped, and I'm going to triple dip.
I did that with Stardew Valley. I'm not doing it again.
So what were you going to say, Steve? What were you playing?
I was going to say that Thanksgiving being the American holiday that it is, I'm actually not heading back to Ireland for it. So I'll be here and I'll have not a lot going on. So I was thinking maybe I might kick into
Destiny 2.
Yes,
not Destiny.
Finally. Thank you, Steve.
Possibly Final Fantasy 6. Might be a good time for that, you know?
There you go.
A Thursday and a Friday off, and, you know, that whole weekend.
So, Steve-O, just to let you know, I am going to be busy during Thanksgiving, so don't call me.
I might need help, Josh. It's an obscure JRPG. What if I don't know what direction I'm meant to go?
It's not obscure. What's wrong?
Okay, it's not obscure. Does it signpost where you're meant to be going? Well,
for the most part,
that was the problem with Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
for the most part, for the first half of the game.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it, and I guess I still have to play a little bit of Donkey Kong Country. About only a third or a halfway through that. Is that what you said, Josh?
Something like that, yeah.
It's such a good game. It's so goddamn hard in the end.
Well, I've got to move all my stuff out of this apartment and into a new house over the next 22 days. So
and somehow you'll still 100% Mario Odyssey.
Well, it's on a Switch. I don't know. My TV, I've got to move my TV and all this other crap, so that won't be plugged in. I won't be playing PS4 or anything. So Switch it is, I guess.
Yes.
Just
Rocket League, man. Gotta get Rocket League. And you don't have to plug anything back in. You can just play Rocket League.
I have other stuff to play.
Well, he would have to plug his modem back in.
True. But then you're good. All right, dudes. Should we wrap this up?
Yep.
Think we'll call that a cast.
All right. As I mentioned, the next episode will be the Thanksgiving special. So have turkey thoughts between now and then, everyone. In the meantime, you can check us out at ratherbycast.com and follow us on Twitter at RBPcast. Please, if you have some extra time, go onto iTunes or wherever you get your podcast and give us a like, subscribe. We're on YouTube as well. Tell your friends, get the word out. Let everyone know that you liked listening to us, if you did.
And you could leave a review.
Yes. Leave a review. Say something nice. Let us know what we're doing right. Even if you don't like it, let us know what we're doing wrong. But then keep that to yourself.
You can also let us know what we're doing.
You could let us know. We do want to get better. And if you're unhappy at all with this podcast, we're here for you. This is the whole reason we're doing it. So let us know.
Tell us what you really think about Elliot and his outros.
We're quite friendly. I do this for me.
You can catch us on Twitter at RBPcast. You can get us individually at RBP Elliot, at RBP Josh, at RBP Stevo. You can catch us on Twitch at RatherBePlaying.
Twitch.tv/RatherBePlaying.
Where you can find me playing a little bit of Super Mario Odyssey. I'm also thinking about playing something a little more scripted, a little more linear.
Destiny 2.
You are the devil. No, I'm thinking of Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. Right. Actually,
yeah. I'll watch you play some horror games. I don't like playing them, but I would love to watch your streams. I should do that.
Yeah, well, look out for that next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
there you go. All right, guys.
All right, everyone. Good show. Thanks a lot, and we will catch you in a couple weeks.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye now.